today I will be teaching you guys how to get a Nolly Getgood style mix. So we're going to be going over the drums, the bass, the guitar, and the production. So that would be lead and synths because that's what I have for this session, for this thing I made. So we're going to start off on the drums. I'm right here on the kick already. I do have this mix bus, but I'm going to have it off, and I'm going to have the drum bus off. So we're just going to listen to everything raw. So without further ado, here we go. So this is the kick raw. So I don't do individual processing. The only thing that's individually being processed would be these toms here. But for the most part, it's literally just all the processing is on the actual bus. So this is going to be very simple, easy, and optimal. So here we go. So the Pro Q4, Nolly does this. This is a very classic Nolly shape. If you've seen any of his master classes, this is a very, very familiar looking EQ graph here. So what he does is around 150 hertz, he gets rid of thud. I personally decided to do this low cut here because too much sub comes through for this kick, this P5 kick. This is P5 kit, by the way, guys. It's all P5. There's no Franken kit. There's no one shots. This is all one drum library. So this, increasing the click, is sloping it out, getting rid of, the frequencies that I don't want to hear, where there was too much click getting built up. So off and on. Huge difference. This is just for some more impact, some more beef. Really all this graph is. Into a Studer tape machine. I have it on the 900. I got the IPS at 15. I have the calibration at +3. This is just tape saturation. This calibration knob is just saturation, how much saturation happens, and I have the input and output to saturate the signal a little bit. This, I'm actually using the demo version of this. This is the Moo compressor. I saw Connor Kaminski use this, and I really wanted to try it out. It's really cool. It's not like other compressors where it transient increases as well, and it gets real pokey. It just kind of just makes it punch without increasing the transient. So like that click isn't killing me. So yeah, there's that. And then this is just for volume, for gain control. So moving on from the kick, we have the snare. I got the top and the overhead. This is the snare. Real simple stuff, guys. You're gonna see that there's only 4 plugins on each thing, except for the guitars. So for the snare, unnecessary low end getting cut out, and some really bright, harsh high ends getting cut out as well. Boosting this frequency for the stick hit. There's some nice sheen. Scooping. This is where most of the pokey impact was coming from, so I decided to scoop it out. I always do this on every single mix, on every single snare. I don't know why, honestly. This is really controlling the body, I notice, because every time I turn it off, it's too honky. And this is I do this all the time. I always scoop around this. I always end up scooping around this area. It just sounds good. So yeah, there's that. This is the beef of the snare that I'm boosting. And then just getting rid of some resonances that I didn't like, that I heard. Smash and grab. I really just have this on standard snare, compressing by 1 dB. Yeah. Off. It adds some nice attack, to be fair. Studer. once more. I use this tape machine like all over the thing, guys. So I really recommend you get this. It's like $29 right now on the UAD website. You better get it, guys. Trust me, you won't regret it. I put this on everything, guitars and what have you, except not for this mix. So we have the 900 tape right here, some saturation going on with the input-output settings, and +6 calibration. And this is what it sounds like off and on. Off. On. Just add some nice saturation and a little bit of warmth to the signal. And it was a little too pokey, so I decided to take away some attack. Nice little mellow snare. Real nice, simple. Real nice and simple, guys. Toms. So, here's where I had to do something different. So Pro Gate, I'm literally just getting rid of the trail because I like that trail will start to sound like in the mix. It'll sound like an impact, and it'll throw everything out of whack if you don't do this. So I highly recommend you gate your tom. So on the rack tom, let's turn all of this off, turn the bus off. The rack tom, solo that out. That's what it sounds like. Actually, raw it sounds like. Gonna make it shorter, get rid of that trail. And I literally have the same tom setting across all these with smash and grab. I'm only compressing by like max 2 dB. And then for the rack tom is the only one where I have an EQ because there was too much click and there was too much sub. So I cut those, I made those cuts there. And then, I mean, just the same thing. Okay, like 3. So like, yeah, it's really just like 1 to 2 dB, guys, on the compression there. And then the bus. This is a very important, these are very important EQ moves here. You're about to hear the night and day difference. You might be thinking, that's too much, dude. Do you really need to do that? And you're about to hear, yeah, you do. Very, very important. It's basically the same, it's literally the same concept of the kick EQing. Getting rid of thud, right? Because this is like such a muddy frequency, especially for these toms. Scooping the heck out of it. Getting rid of stuff I don't want to hear. And increasing the stick hit here. And rolling off unnecessary frequencies. Because, I'll explain later actually. And then rolling off a lot of sub. Q4, another one. Some more EQing, some more scoopage, and some more increasing of the stick hit. And now it sounds real nice. Clip. Into this, Shep's parallel particles. Bite, air, and thick. And then you're about to hear, it's like, well, maybe that sounds a little too bright, no? Maybe that sounds a little too scoop, there's not too much boom. This is gonna bring you back. 15 IPS, 456 right here, and the +6 calibration. Boom. I love this plugin, dude. And then this is just for volume control. So yeah, that's the toms. Cymbals now. What they sound like. No processing individually, just on the bus. Back to just being on the bus again. So I have this on Smash. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, just 1 dB of compression. I have the mix at 30%. This is what it sounds like at 100. So yeah, 30% there. Gullfoss, I'm using this to brighten the cymbals. tame the annoying frequencies and boost some of that hit. You know, I love when you can feel and hear and feel that cymbal getting hit. Here we're rolling off unnecessary low end cymbal frequencies. And here is like the annoying the real nasty frequencies that we're taking away. You're about to hear it. And this one's the cringiest one. Ugh. Heck no. And giving it some high end here, some presence. And then just to get rid of some more annoying frequencies there, the chimey frequencies. An instance of soothe. And then there's that. Here's the rooms. So I have a room bus here. The only thing happening is there's compression on the tom room, and I'm just making the snare room quieter. And you're about to hear, it's literally just for sustain. So, the hollow room, transient designer, taking away that attack because of the snare and increasing the sustain. Rolling off low end and scooping it here, and just increasing the high end. And then scooping it again and getting rid of this frequent, like this tone, like an overtone, I guess. I'm not sure. You could correct me on that, but like I just didn't like what I was hearing here. And that's the drums. So altogether, sounds banging. Now we're on to the drum bus. So Studer, this tape head again, 7.5 IPS, some pretty good amount of saturation, and plus 30 calibration. So off and on, you're about to hear the difference. It's about to make it so punchy and warm. Especially on that kick. Heck yeah. Pro Q4. Now there's too much boom on that kick, so I'd really just roll it off here with another low cut. I increase, like around 60 hertz, guys, is like the sweet spot for kicks, guys. So I would recommend boosting this frequency. It's literally not doing anything. Scoop, this is really just for because there was too much snare coming through, so I just got rid of it like this. Just for the cymbal presence, overall presence and cymbal presence. And then another thing, this is something I saw Nolly do on one of his YouTube masterclass videos. You're about to see. The stressor on a pretty parallel, this is like parallel compression here. So 20 by 1, high pass, and this bell here. I always aim for like 2 dB of gain reduction on the distressor, on the parallel compression for the distressor. I haven't really been doing the Nolly mixes that long, to be fair, but this is just where I find that it works for me. It's actually, no, it's hitting on too. But yeah, that's the drums there. So the drum bus off and on. Huge difference. Let's go over the bass now. So there's like no plugins again, guys. It's literally just Jacob Umansky contact library into Parallax X. This is this preset by Kaminski. I literally just like brought the low end down and changed a little bit of the EQ here. And now, some overall EQing. I got rid of some unnecessary, like, nasally sounds that I didn't like from the ding wall. increasing this really just for, this is a move where you need to be mixing for a while to actually hear and feel the difference. Because if I turn it off, that's just too scooped and it's not very forward. It just brings it ever so slightly up front and more in your face, kind of, because we brought back some mid-range. Because I'm scooping a lot. I love a scoop sound. That's modern metal, dude. That's prog. Too much sub, so I just, got a shelf and decreased it like that. Soothe, mainly for these nasty resonances. Because they were just peeking through too much for my taste. This is something I got from Buster Oldham. Overall spectrum compression with Pro Multiband. I always aim for 3 dB. It's basically how you dial this and how you set this up. You just get what you feel like is building up the most at places. That's the best way I could explain it. Just get a band and just find where stuff is building up the most and then go on from there. This is how I have it set up. This is literally just the preset I made. I have a little bit more happening, triggering for the high end, because if you're not careful, ding walls can get really clanky. Ding walls are popular for being clanky, but it can get very harsh and saturated very fast because of that nasally and bright high end that they're popular for. So you really gotta tame that. This is a kick sidechain. And then this is another thing I got from Buster Oldham. This is a parallel stereo imager, like a DIY stereo imager. Is it gonna load up? There we go. So this is a rule of thumb. Your subs, your low end, actually, not subs, your low end should be mono. Strictly. For bass, gotta be. So this is just rolling off what I don't want being stereoized by this plugin, by Doubler 4. So I roll off the low end, and only the high end is being stereoized with Doubler 4. And I have this reverb. So this is what it's gonna sound like off and on. So off. On there. You see how it's hitting the sides now? And if I put it at 100%, this is what it sounds like. Sounds like a chorus effect, I guess. Like a flanger or something. No, it's a chorus. That is not a flanger at all. What am I talking about? Yeah. That's the bass. As you can see, guys, very simple. No plugins. The guitar tone. The guitar is where we start, getting a lot of plugins happening in there. So, bust off. This is just Omega Grandifier. Lower your volume because it's about to get loud. Okay, that's Omega. That's Grandifier right there. These are I'll go over that in a little bit. Right now, this is something that I do. On the DI, I have this plugin again. It's just for loading this plugin because it's a dead plugin. You can't load it up in things anymore. I have this on the DI. Boostalizer. I'm boosting the mid-range. I'm not boosting the bass at all. Just self-explanatory. You're not going to get any picking or you're not going to get any string or pick definition if that bass is up there. You want to boost these mids here. I don't know what frequency it's boosting, but I'd say it's 1.5 to 2K. I could be totally wrong though. Someone could correct me if they know the answer to that. So this is what it sounds like with that off. And then on. Huge difference. And then here we have Pro Q4 on the bus here. Oh, I almost forgot. Here's the settings. It's literally just default, out the gate. This is what you get met with a little bit. I only changed a little bit of stuff. Like the mids, I dipped it like 0.002%, dude. The treble, I increased a little bit. The depth I brought back, I pushed the detail pretty far up, actually. And then my cabs, I'm using the SM57 Zilla cabs by GGD and M160 Cali cabs by GGD as well. And then the EQ, scooping 500 a little bit and boosting 2K, 4K, and 8K for byte. That's where like you get your pick. Like, you know the very popular like pick attack sound for prog metal tones? That's where you get it at. So that's where I'm boosting. As you can see, when it comes to neuraldsp and like the graphic EQ thing, you don't need to change it that much. I see people do like -4 plus 12. It's like, you don't need to do that, dude. Just slight adjustments. Okay. And then I have a Manly massive passive EQ on the bus. I have this lead guitar preset. This is what it's gonna, oh, the Pro Q here. This is actually a preset that I made ripping off the exact like settings from a Buster Otohome EQ graph. It just works. I just throw it on everything. I do it by hand all the time, but in this case, I was just too lazy. So I just threw this on there and it worked. So this is a mono band. Doing this helps a lot with the guitars being present in the car and Bluetooth speakers. Oftentimes, especially with periphery mixes, those guitars get really lost and they're way too wide and they sound almost phasey because there's like just no presence in the mono range for those guitars because they're like quad tracked or something. So boosting that mono signal helps it a ton. This is triggering for the low end. You could literally just do like, oops, wait. I guess it's too small or something. 30 and then do that and then have it there. But like, this is what I copied. These, since I didn't do these by hand, I couldn't tell you what they're doing, but I'm pretty sure these are just whistly frequencies that are actually taking away some of the distortion, unwanted distortion from the amp sim. This is ducking nasty peaks. And then this, it's about to get really bright. It sounds really good. It did what I wanted it to do, but it's too like bright. So what I did was I did like just overall across the spectrum EQing. I rolled off the high end at like 9K. I boost this for byte. And I took away what it was overpowering for that high end. So off and on. Tamed. Now it's perfect, basically. So off and on. Heck yeah. So the stressor. This is what I'm doing here. 6:1 ratio, literally just the default ratio. And I'm aiming for 4 to 5 dB of gain reduction. I'm also making it quieter through here because it's really loud. So I apologize for that, guys. This is for the chugs because I can hear it too much. There's like too much of that range coming through. And now it's nice and tame. And this will make sense when you hear everything together going through the instrument bus. And then kick side chain. And then a soothe to catch those nasty resonances. And that's the bus. So this is the tone, guys. Pretty proud of it. Very easy to dial. And as you can see, there's still basically like no plugins. I see people with like 12 Pro Qs, 3 compressors doing basically nothing. It doesn't have to be that complicated, guys. You just have to know what you're doing, and most importantly, you have to know what you're hearing, like what you're listening for. And another thing, there's this guy, I saw this guy mention doing these cuts are not necessary. Don't listen to people like him. This is a very important move, especially for guitars, because if they're too bright and they sound a little too sad, this goes for anything actually. If your signal sounds a little too saturated in a sense, that's because you're not cutting away the unnecessary high end. Because what the dude was saying was, oh, you can't even hear those frequencies. They're not even noticeable by the human ear. So that's another wasted move that these pro mixers are making. They're just wasting time and for nonsensical moves. That is simply just not true. Cutting that high end, even though it's just noise, that's the point why that's exactly why you cut it away, because it's just noise. That adds to your tone and your signal, and that's like saturation at that point. That's like unnecessary gain, distortion, drive, whatever you want to call it. For me, the best way I can explain it is that stuff that's just noise on the high end, that is basically oversaturation of your signal. So if you're having a hard time getting your cymbals to sound right or your guitars to sit right because they're too bright or whatever, start doing these cuts and come back to me about it. You hear how it's clamped down? That basically gets rid of that unnecessary noise adding to your distortion, like the distortion of the signal. If that makes any type of sense, guys. It's literally just saturation of your signal that you can chop away. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. Now, let's go over production. I don't know if I mentioned that we were going to go over production. There's leads, there's synths, and a lead guitar. Oops. So now, what I'm doing here, we're going to go to the Opal synth. This is the synth that I use. This is what it sounds like. This is what the synths sound like together first. Pretty cool, right? So this is Opal by UAD. It's $29 right now. It's on sale. Inside Your Head preset, if we go to the group here, this little bus that I made for it, this is what it sounds like with the bus off. Completely raw. So it sounds cool, but that intro groove is so like just groovy. Like, oops, that was a little too much air that went into the mic there. But it's a little too zappy. There's too much, like, it's not very focused. It sounds like we're already there. Since this is a build-up, what I did was I got rid of this, like, saw kind of frequency. And I got rid of some low end. Clamped down on that signal there. Now it sounds like a very soft and light type of like build-up synth. This is a parallel blend of all these. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting off the high end because I only want all of these to trigger off. So you know how on some, like, not even some, you know how on all reverbs, there's like that setting, there's like there's like these knobs where it's like a high pass and low pass thing, where those are for you to control where the reverb is triggering. So you can cut it to be like, I don't want it to trigger off of like AK up, so I'm gonna cut it so it only responds from AK below, and I don't want it to respond to like all the subs, so I'm gonna increase the low end to only trigger from 500 to AK. That's basically what I'm doing here. Just cutting off that high end there. This Echo Boy and the Super Play that my friend actually got this for me. I've been using it ever since. And then Valhalla Verb. So this is what it sounds like off and on. Super foreboding. And then due to the reverb naturally just introducing a lot of low end, because that's really where it's only triggering off of, I just roll off the reverb I don't want to hear, which was around here, minus like almost 8 dB, like basically minus 7 dB. And then I scoop it here. And that's that. And then I have this like kind of pad synth right here. This is what this synth sounds like. Real cool sounding. So this is what it sounds like raw. I forgot to turn off this thing right here. That bus there, but that's what it sounds like raw. Increasing a lot of the high end, dipping down this, getting rid of this resonance, rolling off low end, and some scooping of this here. Into Supermassive, this is a free plugin, Hydra Harp preset. Portal, this is 7/8 stretch. I have it like 55% on like the dry and wet knob. And then a soothe, just to catch those resonances. So now this is the bus, Gullfoss. I'm making it brighter, and I'm also taming the low end again, because too much low end is being introduced to those reverbs. And then overall signal compression, I literally just copied and pasted this. I didn't copy and paste it actually. This is the preset I have. Oops. This is just a preset I have. It's just called guitar. I just threw the guitar one on there and it worked. It worked like wonders. This is really just comping down on the reverb as well. And then a bus compressor. The lead, the guitar, there was an Echo Boy on here, but not anymore. A gate, Matthias Sasato. This, because there was too much pick attack. So I'm cutting some transient. Doubler. And Portal again, 7/8 stretch, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm like 30% dry and wet now. So yeah, that's everything. So everything together as of right now, without the bus, the instruments bus. Oops. Sounds real good, huh? But you might be wondering, well, it still doesn't sound like Nolly. This is where the instruments bus comes in, the mix bus. This is the sauce. So, first things first, Poltec. This just has a natural warmth to it. So you don't really need to do boosts on the low end. But if you want to experiment, if you feel like there's some like punch on your low end lacking. If there's low end lacking on your kick or your bass, you can experiment with boosting and ascending by 1 or 2, depending on how much you need it. I'm increasing 10K and ascending by that much. So off and on, this is what it sounds like. And this EQ, as you can see, I'm using the demo version for like 3 plugins you're about to see. I'm really considering getting this because it's such a good, it's like a stereo EQ. And what's cool is you can boost the sides and it's so like, cause it's a very scoop sound right now. And I wanted to introduce mids because it needed it really bad. And this did it perfectly. Like I was in awe. Listen to this off and on. It's literally like carrying this mid. It's so good, dude. This, because now there's a little too much sub coming through due to the kick and the bass. So this is what I'm cutting away. There was still too much snare for my taste coming through, so I'm really just trying to cap it down a little bit by decreasing this frequency range, because that's where like that hit is coming from. And some more, just for cymbal treatment, just for cymbal presence, basically. And you're about to wonder, well, you're boosting a lot, because you're seeing right now, I'm boosting a lot of the high end, and you're like, how do I get over that? That would be when we get to the master bus. So let me shut up. Dang, that was a lot of air that went in there again. Okay, so GP9. This is going to introduce a lot of punch, warmth. This is literally gonna do so much right now. So, here we go. Oops. Does so much for the kick, for the bass, for everything. And now, the final touch, the seasoning, the main ingredient of this bus is the bus compressor. Now, I usually use FG Gray, but I wanted to try out this because I'm gonna get a bundle, and I just wanted to test out a bunch of plugins. I saw, mainly the reason why I decided to experiment with the Hitsville is because I saw a lot of people, including Connor Kaminski, use it. And the Moo compressor, I saw Connor use it. So I think I'm gonna get these. I'm for sure gonna get these because I really like them. So it really connects everything together. It's such a good... And that's that. That's the mix. Now let's go to the master. You're about to hear. A lot is going on here as well. So, Pro Q, high cut. This is an important, very important move. Can't even hear it? That's just getting rid of all the saturation of the signal, basically. This is for the bass. A little too much coming through. And this is for the sub of the kick. Yeah, you better be happy I took that away. I'm gonna leave the flat line on, actually. Because this is just volume increasing. This is something I got from Buster Otohome. And I've been doing it ever since. Overall, parallel compression of the spectrum, dude. Clamps down on everything. Sounds so good. I recommend you do this on your masters, guys, because it really changed the game for me. I went from being good to being great because of this. Everything is glued more and in a very good, cohesive, and perfect way. And soothe, just for cleaning up the mix, really. Just to be safe. And then flatline to make it louder, feeding into Pro L2. And this is just for just making it loud, basically. So yeah, that's the setup, guys. If you like the mix, if you want me to mix your songs, guys, I'm doing 25 a mix for the holiday season. So if you want to help a brother out by giving me some work, I can help you out by providing you a really solid mix, guys. And I hope that I was able to enlighten you and bring you one step closer to achieving the sound that you've been striving for. And I mean, yeah, that's really it, guys. So